Hi, I'm Mickelle Weber, founder and auteur of House of Peregrine. Expat, immigrant, pioneer, none of these were a fit, but Peregrine describes what we are all about perfectly. Those that craft their life story with intention. I've spent the last 6 years in awe of the life-changing connections and stories I have experienced while living abroad, and believe it is time for this adventure to be recognized, celebrated, and elevated to the life stage that it is. Through these interviews, I hope to connect those living internationally more deeply to both the place they are living and with themselves and those around them. We cover everything from international finances and meaning-making to global parenting and relationships to make your time abroad more intentional, edifying, and full of beauty. Find us at houseofperegrine.com, where you can find more ways to connect with the ethos of Peregrine. I hope you enjoy today's guest. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the House of Peregrine podcast. I'm Mickelle Weber, and today I am bringing you one of the most played moments and one of our most popular episodes about relationship growth and psychedelics with two of the world's most cutting-edge therapists in the space, Jeanine Souren and Hans van Wechem. They use psychedelics with care and intention to open the door to depth and possibility that might have not otherwise been possible or only imagined with couples. Jeanine and Hans are guides for couples navigating the terrain of change, disruption, identity crisis, or even if they just want deepening. In episode 14, we spoke about why psychedelic therapy resonates with men, particularly, who may feel hesitant about traditional modalities, how ancient rites of passage echo through modern journeys, and what happens in a relationship when one person is growing and the other wants to stand still. They also speak honestly about the questions that sometimes arise around safety, intimacy, autonomy, and how to move through these unknowns with presence and integrity for both the couple and each individual. If you are new to this conversation, I invite you to listen with openness, not urgency. Be aware that this type of therapy is not for everyone, but if you're curious, this is a fantastic conversation to start a journey of curiosity. All right, let's begin.
So I find because it's such a bold breakthrough approach that a lot of men are involved or interested, and whereas the emotional volume of I'm generalizing a little bit, but of women is much more developed often, not always, is going to therapy is much more common. But this approach appeals to men because it's really very no nonsense, and it's talking with yourself during a journey. And yes, before and after you'll engage with a therapist, but it has a different feel to it because it's quite daring. It's almost like going paragliding or doing an adventurous sport. What would you say, Hans?
Yeah, and I think you can also look upon it as a initiation ritual sometimes. Like in ancient cultures, to really become a man, you had to do a sort of test, challenge. Um, and sometimes this feels like the ultimate initiation ritual to dive in, to jump off a cliff with the rope tied to your ankles. That's more the masculine way. It's daring as well, and sometimes unrationalized daring. Like, I'm curious, I've read all the stuff about it, it's scientifically approved. Let's see what this does with my brain.
Yeah.
And the initiation is more of what the adolescents and the youth do, is they sort of dive in head first, not knowing what they're doing, and that's where stuff can go wrong. But that's more of a masculine, egoic thing, proving to yourself, proving to your friends that you, I do this. And women approach it, in my point, more from another place. Not that scientifically oriented, but more from a unfulfilled need, and maybe a deeper longing as well, yeah, how could I say this? More, more from the point of communication. Like we have to communicate also with the bigger mystery. But it sounds a bit fake, and it is.
Yeah.
But there's a difference.
And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the work of this author who talked about the world's religions being based on psychedelic ceremonies that were largely carried out by women. And so for me, I think that there's a echo there in what you're saying of this lost, maybe lost knowing that's in our bodies, but maybe not taught to us, for both men and women, but that were historically largely carried out by women. Which I read all of this after my journey, and it resonated so much with my own experience. Okay, more less deep questions, guys. We can do this. I have my list of questions, but I love going deep with you guys because I think you guys are doing this work in a way that other people aren't. When I research it myself, when I hear other podcasts, you guys are in the depths of the psyche, but also, and I hate to use the word spiritual, but you're accepting of the spiritual in a way that maybe isn't always common. So what are common concerns you see from couples when they come into you? I'm sure there's safety, which you guys have addressed already because you are very safe. And you kind of have done it a lot of times. And so but what are the maybe emotional or less common things you've heard from couples?
Well, from couples, but that's not just for couples. People ask about touch, therapeutic touch, or they also ask about sexual feelings arising. How common is it to feel aroused during a session when you basically don't feel like you're in control? Those questions come up a lot, and then we always are able to reassure them that if we just tap on someone's shoulder then and whisper in the ear, that always does the trick. What else, Hans?
Yeah, you could, more from a generalistic point of view, and that, like Jeanine said, that not only goes for couples, but you understand when you go in because you want to change something, changing the relationship that you have with yourself will change everything around you.
Yeah.
So that's what I always say when people come to me for individual psychotherapy. Then I talk about the side effects of psychotherapy as well. And I think the most important side effect of individual psychotherapy is partner relationship issues. Because if you step in feeling really dependent on your partner and through the process you become more autonomous, then what you need from your partner changes. And if your partner doesn't change alongside, you will get a conflict. And proving your autonomy can lead to more issues, more conflicts, more stress. And that can bring you in a strange paradoxical situation that you thought that therapy was helpful, but instead it made you more miserable because you have all of a sudden all these issues that weren't there before, so you thought.
Yeah.
So becoming more aware makes you wonder about what it is that you need from another person.
I want to add something to that because I think this really speaks to you, Mickelle.
Yeah, and I think a lot of women who go to therapy because they are maybe feel more welcome or more comfortable there, and then they are just lost with their partner, and their partner's lost with them.
Yeah. So we feel if one person does a psychedelic journey and the partner doesn't, that there's a lot of room for I don't know, I guess development, because so much happens or can happen in a psychedelic journey. It's almost like if one person starts to grow, like I mentioned that before, the other one almost has to join at some point, because otherwise the paths will grow widely apart.
Yep. And I think in couples that are living abroad together, that already happens with just the move. And then they start growing, maybe learning a new language. Maybe their kids are learning a new language. Maybe one's taking a new job and another one's a stay-at-home parent suddenly, and that's never happened before. It's just a massive explosion of your dynamics already. And there's not a language around it, which I think is super interesting to consider, but also to maybe consider psychedelics as a way of acknowledging and maybe moving through that with more grace. Thank you so much for listening and for staying open. Whether this episode sparked resonance, resistance, or even something in between, I hope it offered a glimpse into how intentional psychedelic work can be as part of a larger system with skilled therapists. Especially for couples navigating life abroad, this can be a layered transition full of tender terrain. And so I feel it's my responsibility to bring out any kind of modality that I find helpful. And I certainly have found a lot of use in this one. At House of Peregrine, we believe in honoring the full spectrum of what it means to be in relationship with others, with yourself, with the place you call home, and sometimes even with the mystery. We know that creating a life you love rarely follows a straight line. That's why we're creating space for those explorations, one honest conversation at a time. If you feel called to share your reflections or even leave a comment, you're always welcome to reach out. We read every message and every comment. If you would like to learn more about Jeanine and Hans' work, visit the show notes for links and resources. I'll look forward to hearing what you think, and I look forward to next time. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed our show. For the latest insights on living internationally, join us at houseofperegrine.com to find out how you can connect with our community. Let's craft our life story with intention together.